In this video, we're going to take a look at a common error that happens when you're using your TI-84 and how to resolve it. So this is what we call a syntax error, and that's exactly how your calculator is going to display it to you. And it happens when you mix up the minus button with the negative button. Let's see what I mean by that. If you wanted to evaluate something like 3 plus negative 5, we can do that in the calculator exactly the way it is. 3 plus, and then to use the negative, I need to use this button down here at the bottom of the calculator that has a negative sign inside parentheses. That's your negative button. 3 plus negative 5, and I don't even have to put it in parentheses if I don't want to when I put in my calculator. It'll give me the correct answer of negative 2. But the mistake people often make is using this minus button in place of a negative. And let's see what happens when I make that mistake. If I say 3 plus minus 5 instead of the negative 5, then my calculator gives me an error. It says error : syntax. Anytime you get an error in your calculator, you're going to get some options. One option is always quit, and then most of the time you have option 2 that says go to. If you choose option 2, it will take you exactly to where your mistake happened. So when I choose option 2, it puts my cursor right on top of that minus sign that was supposed to be a negative sign to alert me that, hey, this is where you made your mistake. This is the symbol that I'm not able to read because it doesn't really make sense to me. So I can change that to a negative, and now I can get my answer. Now you might say to yourself, instead of typing 3 plus negative 5, I would just type 3 minus 5. That means the same thing. And that's correct. You can type 3 minus 5. You can get negative 2 that way also. But you still have to be careful that you're not mixing up those two buttons, because look, let's watch what happens if I type 3 minus 5 and I use the negative button rather than the minus button. Now my calculator gives me a negative 15, because what my calculator is interpreting that, it's as if I had parentheses around that negative 5, so it's making it a multiplication problem. It's doing 3 times negative 5 instead of 3 minus 5. So the way your calculator reads a negative button and the way your calculator reads a minus symbol are totally different. It's something you really need to watch out for. Another spot you'll need to watch out for it is when you're graphing things in the y equals screen. So if I want to graph this line negative 3x plus 8, I'll go to my y equals, and you can type in negative 3x plus 8, but let's see what happens if I do it the wrong way. Minus 3x plus 8. And then when I go to graph, it's going to give me this error syntax message. Now, anytime you see this message, you want to use option 2 if it's there. Option 2 says go to, so when I choose that option, it takes me directly to where the mistake was. It's flashing right there on that minus sign to say, hey, this is the thing that's wrong. And I need to change that minus sign to a negative sign instead. And you can see that those two symbols look different when they're right next to each other. The negative sign is a little bit smaller, shorter, and it's up a little bit higher on the screen, where the minus sign is a little longer and down right in the middle of where the text is. So now when I have that typed correctly with the negative sign, I can hit graph and my calculator will show me the correct graph.